Thank you so much to the mayor and Wendy. I want to just a few more quick introductions. We are just so grateful for our leadership at the federal and state level, and I know we have representation from Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur's office. So Stacy Fowler, if you want to stand and wave, thank you so much for being here. She has been also a great champion for our business community, and then we also have representation here from Chief Monica Womack's office, who oversees the Minority Business Development Division for the state of Ohio. Deputy Chief Valerie Williams is here. If you can stand too, so they know who you are in the red. Please, they have great resources and they have really been a great partner with us in helping us make sure we are a more business friendly city. At the City of Toledo, we have really worked hard, particularly under our leadership of Brandon Selhorst, who oversees our Economic Development Office, that we need to make changes to our internal workings so we can continue to be business friendly. And so I want to talk briefly about a few things that are coming up. So this fall, October 2024, we are rolling out a new entirely electronic certification system. Our C3 portal, so C3 certifications, contracts, and compliance, will allow businesses to apply for our certifications for MBE, WBE, SBE, and VBE totally online. And there's additional benefits. We have streamlined our processes, and we now have easy renewal procedures as well. So in the future, companies will also be able to certify their payrolls through this system. We are actually grateful that the company who actually built the system, our new system, has joined us today, SkillSmart. John Delo, if you want to wave here, he served as the VP of Client Success for SkillSmart, which is a compliance reporting and tracking technology company with a strong record of creating tools and services to build strong markets and clear pathways. So John will be available around 2 p.m. to kind of preview our system. He is also a wealth of knowledge. He has done this across the country. He has worked with Fortune 500 companies. So I'm so glad you've joined us today. At this time, I also am excited to announce about our new, which actually launched yesterday. We have a new improved experience for building inspection customers. The City of Toledo now has an easier way through our permit portal to apply for permits, submit plans for review, schedule inspection, and pay fees. And this is all online. Users will benefit from a modern, user-friendly, web-based system that makes working with building inspection office easier. We know this is something we heard loud and clear from our business community, so we're excited about this new permit portal. We also have a new leadership staff member to the City of Toledo, I should say newer, who's really also helping with the economic growth of our community, Dan Morey. Dan Morey serves as our Commissioner of Wage and Hour Compliance, and so he has some important information to share. So let's welcome Dan as he comes.
Thank you. My name is Dan Morey. I'm Commissioner of Wage and Hour Compliance. My team and I focus on fighting wage theft. Fairly newer initiative undertaken by the administration to define and fight wage theft in the community. Wage theft can be defined under our ordinance 545.22. Won't get into the boring details, but simply put, if an employer breaks a promise to pay, threatens retaliation for asking for your pay, or illegally misclassifies a employee as a 1099 subcontractor, it would be a violation of this ordinance. This is important, especially as we look at, we're talking a lot of construction going on. When the employee-employer relationship is not there for an employee, they miss out on a lot of valuable protections that comes from that. They don't get the unemployment compensation, the workers' compensation if they get injured on a job. They don't pay into Social Security or Medicare, so that's not there for them when they age out of the construction environment. And it also creates a environment where the city is also deprived of the needed tax dollars to continue paving roads and doing the upgrades to the water treatment plant and everything we're talking about today. So while we're enforcing this, a way you can make sure as a business that you and those partner companies you use, your subcontractors, you'll be looking for a certificate of compliance from the Department of Taxation. Certificate of compliance is going to ensure that that company is registered, paying taxes, and that somebody from our team has looked over the company, you know, and they're doing everything proper.
We're actually going to be doing some storm and water line work, but the water line is going to be separately from the roadway. They won't be bid together. Then starting next year, as you see, we will be bidding things out first, second, and third for our water main replacement program. So each of these streets, Arlington, Sandra, those will each be bid separately within the first quarter. Second quarter, so you see Lorraine, Orchard, University, those actually, because they're all right near each other, are going to go out as one bid. So those will not be three separate projects. We're actually going to bid them all together. So there'll be three water line replacements as one project. And then we have Bellevue, Lyman, and Esther. And then again with this one, Bellevue and Lyman will be one job. And then Esther will be by itself. And then the third quarter of next year for our water lines, we're doing Islington and then Parkwood. And actually, once again, since those are by each other, we're going to put those together also into one bid. Then we have our Start with Sanitary program. So with that, we do every year, we call it our minor storm drainage. And that's where we go out in different areas of the city where there's maybe been some ponding, easy fixes that we can do with maybe sticking in a catch basin or something to try to get an intersection to drain better. So that'll be various locations throughout the city. That'll be early next year. And then we have our annual sanitary sewer lining, which once again, that's various locations throughout the city to line our sewers. And then some of our other projects, I kind of already let you guys know about the Paisley and Wellmore. That's added the storms with that roadway project. And then the Whitmer relocation. Also, Oldham, Buckview will be a separate, that is bid with our sidewalk project, our Safe Routes to School program, which will be coming out later. Actually, we're trying to get that, I think, around spring next year is when we want to get that out. And that Secor is part of the Secor project. And then Watson also is part of the roadway project. We're doing a bunch of storm sewer. They kind of wanted to put it separately to give you guys an idea because that's more storm than we typically do on any kind of a roadway project. So we wanted to kind of show you guys, in case you're pipe suppliers and subcontractors, that those projects are going to have a little more storm work than typical ones do. Okay, so it went too far.
Yeah, it's right. It's okay. I'll get your mask. Yeah.
No, gotcha. Okay. Don't want to skip over our last couple of projects here. So with our road and bridge division, we've had some issues with embankment around Swan Creek. And we have areas where on Wright Street, the houses are starting to come close to sliding into the creek because of an embankment eroding away. Miami Street, it's not an alley, it's a side street into where the railroad is. So we are going to bid out to have some sheet piling put in on those embankments to keep everything stable. Also, we have these alternative transportation projects. One of them that I've already mentioned is the Safe Routes to School sidewalk program. That's a program that we have been doing pretty much every year recently, working with the schools to determine where the kids are walking and installing a sidewalk to make it safe for them to walk to school. So that is pretty much just concrete work and adding additional sidewalks. The systemic safety program that's going out, this is actually to add the rapid flashing beacon lights. So if you go up and you want to cross in mid-block, we have one right now in front of the Toledo Museum of Art. You hit that and it'll change from red to yellow, and then you can cross. We have some areas that we have 5 of them we are putting them in, and then we also have 7, as we call them, the rapid flashing. So that's kind of like when you come up to it, you can hit it and start blinking yellow right away, and then you can go ahead and cross the road. And then lastly, we are connecting our last section of the multi-use path on the Anthony Lane Trail. So this will go from the Toledo Zoo down to Glendale Avenue. So once that's complete, we'll be able to go all the way from Maumee through Toledo and eventually down to downtown Toledo. So that's a very exciting project also that's coming up next year. And here's our big ones that we are thrilled. The city worked very hard and got 2 big grants, our RAISE grant and our Reconnecting Communities grant. So the RAISE grant, actually, we just went through the process of getting a consultant on board. So those is just going to start design. The Reconnecting Communities grant is actually going through ODOT. The Reconnecting Communities grant is for Front Street over across from the Metro Park. ODOT is actually the one that's kind of running that. So they're in the process now. The bids are out to get an engineer to get on board to start designing the work that's going to be done there. The RAISE grant has gone through the City of Toledo, and we are in the process of awarding a bid to a consultant to start doing design. And the RAISE grant is actually 38 lots in the City of Toledo that are going to be redone between 13th Street and 21st Street, and then from Adams to Monroe. And we are going to be redoing the water lines, the combined sewers, the roadway, beautifying the area. It's a huge project, and that construction will be bidding late 2026, along with the Reconnecting Communities. So that RAISE grant is going to be a huge for us, for you guys, for the city, for surrounding areas. And like I said, that will be bidding in late 2026, and all those will be separate. There'll be a bunch of different separate projects. We will not be putting that out into one big project either. No. And that's all I have now.
At this point, we can take question and answers. If anyone, we have microphones go here on the other side. Anyone, if you'd like to come up and give questions about the projects. And if you wanted to add, if you want deputy.
Can you hear me? Okay. I just wanted to add, because I know Christy went through a lot, and thank you. It's because there's so much exciting work going on. But also this fall, another one of the recommendations out of the disparity study was to start forecasting work so that all of our contractors in the community could know about what's upcoming and start to prepare to bid, start to partner with other firms in the community to be ready for those projects. And so, all the things that Christy just went through, all the things that we're going to go through later, and every other thing that's going to be bid out in the City of Toledo next year will be launched on our new forecasting website at the end of the year. I'm looking at Natalie. I don't know exactly when, but sometime before the end of the year, there's going to be a website that will give you all the bidding opportunities available for the City of Toledo. It's something we'll update quarterly, but typically around the fall each year, as the city does their budget and has a good idea of what projects are going to happen the next year, each year we'll launch what to expect for the upcoming year. So I just wanted to kind of put that plug in and let you know that you don't have to remember everything that was up there. There's going to be a website and you can sort based on what type of work you're interested in and that type of thing. So that's upcoming real soon.
Are there any questions about our roadway projects?
Question. I'm assuming that all these roadway projects are fairly wage. So you're asking your contractors to be signature of their unions, contractors, that's what you're asking,
Correct.
right?
Oh, wait, it's not, wait a minute.
So, depending on the threshold of a project, some things are prevailing wage and some things require a project labor agreement. Under a project labor agreement, it's agreement you enter into, the prime contractor would enter into, and any subcontractors would sign on to through the Northwest Ohio Building Trades. And that requires that the contractor pay wages and follow all the benefits outlined in that particular collective bargaining agreement. Did I say that right, Dan? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Akosia Bardwell Evans, CEO of the Bardwell Group. Wanted to know in connection with those projects, are there opportunities to assess community's reaction to the projects and concerns about the projects?
Yes, we try to work with the neighborhoods when we're going through there. We also try to keep in touch with them throughout the construction, give them updates on each phase, what's going on. We have a city employee that is on site during the construction to help answer any questions that the neighbors, residents may have about the project, any other timing issues or issues with getting in and out of your home throughout the construction. So the city does work closely with the residents throughout this construction to make it as easy as possible on them as we can.
Good afternoon, can you hear me? Again, good afternoon, Amber Hawkins, your computer needs and Toledo LLC. My question is for those of us who have businesses that will be considered outside of construction or engineering and the like. Is there a goal to provide subcontracting opportunities for any businesses that would fit into, let's say, a category of business services or professional services and the like? And also, what's the percentage of that goal, if any, dollars that are earmarked for that?
So I think those types of opportunities, when we're talking the roadway programs and the engineering programs, we specifically contract for professional services or design, typically, or architectural services or studies. So those are usually that's all the technical services we would do would be, or professional services would be technical reviews and designs, and then in engineering and construction. So other opportunities that you're talking about do exist within the city, and it's just different departments that have those types of opportunities. But for the Department of Transportation or Department of Public Utilities, typically those capital projects are limited to technical, engineering, and construction activities mostly.
Thank you.
If I can just add on to it, because I think it to both of your questions, and I think, to what Doug just said, I mean, there are other opportunities within the city, but even within these projects, I think the raise grant does require some public involvement, and there's some requirements from the Department of Transportation that we do some of those more formal. And so I think there will be some opportunities within the raise grant. We can get you some more specifics about that. We are, as an administration, working right now to design a comprehensive roadway communication plan. And so there's potentially some opportunities within that plan for public involvement or professional services through that. But again, just another plug for our upcoming forecasting website. You'll be able to sort by your type of business to see what other opportunities might exist. So be happy to have any more specific questions to drill down to what you're really interested in. But I think there are opportunities, maybe not exactly specifically in these though.
Great. So thank you to our panel. Appreciate it. Excited to hear about our upcoming roadway capital projects. So we appreciate that. And so at this time, I would like to invite our Deputy Director of Economic Development, April Welch, to the podium to talk about our vendors and partners as we get ready for our break for in the room press.
Thank you so much. We know that in addition to providing the information early to vendors, one of the other essential things is connecting to resources. So we are very thankful for all the partners that joined us today. So outside in the lobby, you'll see our banking partners who are here to talk to you about business accounts, treasury services, lending opportunities. Also up here, the Toledo County Port Authority, they have a special program designed for scaling contractors. So Craig is out there to answer any questions about that. And also downstairs in the Business Resource Center, or next to it is the Fred Room, is other technical assistance providers. I think Wendy mentioned earlier, so the Small Business Development Center is down there, the Minority Business Assistance Center is down there, along with some other partners providing access to capital, state certification assistance, financial advising, business planning, mentorship, and much more. So please, on your way out, if you park in the parking garage, go past that room or on the break, go down there, connect to those resources. Those are all free services provided to you, and they really can help you as your businesses continue to grow.
And I also want to take the time to acknowledge our City of Toledo staff who are here, who also have additional opportunities. So we have Director Megan Robeson here for our Department of Public Services. She's here to answer any questions about our mowing program. We have Manager Natalie Bronall and Chief Buyer Roy Earl from our Purchasing Division. It's mentioned a couple of times, we want to make sure all businesses are registered and planning bids. So they're in there to assist with that. We also have representation. I know Commissioner Jenny Japeway from Engage Toledo here to talk about or field any questions about our 24/7 customer service provider that we have for any city service requests and issues as well. So again, before we break, please, we want to make sure, we want to hear your feedback. We want to hear just what, if you have additional questions, please feel free to take a picture of the QR code, take the quick survey. But we are going to break now, and so we will return around 2:15. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for coming. As you know, we recently had a vote of the people that approved the city to move forward, their support for moving forward with our plant upgrade program that the mayor spoke about. We are looking at a $627 million program over the next 15 years. We're really excited about it. Going back in the history of the plant was built in the 20s, had some major upgrades in the 1980s. So we're talking, what, 40 years ago. In 2007, part of the Toledo Waterways Initiative, we did some work on a wet weather facility. The plant flows about 60 million gallons of sewage a day, and at peak times during weather events, with the wet weather facility activated, we do about 400 million gallons. We've got an entire system that was built with that, with tunnels and reservoirs and so forth, and we've eliminated, I think it was 500 plus million gallons of overflow, many years ago into the river. Now here we are in 2024, and
This plant is basic operations. Haven't been upgraded for years. Technologies is slipping behind, and we're going to pretty much rebuild every piece of the plant. You can see here, it's kind of looking tiny to my eyes, but you can see kind of the existing plant layout up there on the screen. Just kind of showing you that so you can see, kind of what footprint we have now. And then on the next slide, we're going to look at footprint of, roughly what we anticipate in the future. You can see that we're going to be doing a contractor laydown area and areas for trailers up to the west side of the plant. And over on the north, we're going to be moving digesters and other processes to the north as you go towards the marina. You can see, we've got a couple of processes that we're looking to upgrade to. You can see our Pondus expansion there that we're going to be doing. We've got a couple of things like that that are going to be trials to see how well they perform and then maybe integrated into our plant processes. But the footprint of the plant's going to increase, and we're looking to also upgrade some of the technologies that we utilize. Quickly, this is a rough schedule. You all got a handout of a more detailed schedule, really hard to read at the moment, but a little more detail on what projects have been predicted and in what tiers and what years we think those will be going through the procurement, design, and construction process. But you can see here that we've got a pretty ambitious amount of work in the first 5 to 7 years in these tier 1 projects. Right now, we've anticipated, and I'll show you on upcoming slide, some of the schedule for this. On these slides for everybody to have, we kind of listed out some of the main projects that are going to be happening under these tiers. And you can see we start out with solids handling right out of the gate. That's a very large part of this process for us, and something that really needs to take place as soon as we can. Secondary treatment and so forth. Then we have our tier 2 going to take place starting in about year 6 or 7. Going to carry on through about year 10. Going through our implementation schedule. This is an implementation schedule for a primary RFP that will have program management, design and construction management in it. We originally started looking at this program and looking at the city resources and how can we manage it. As you know, we had the major water plant upgrades a few years ago. We spent about a decade on those. And we had a process by which the city had a lot of engineering power. We were in that area at the time. We were able to manage the program in general ourselves, bid out the designs more or less ourselves, and then we had construction manager. We don't have that level of resources at this time, and especially not at this plant. So we started looking at alternative ways to handle it. And basically, we're kind of going back to very similar to what was done in the Toledo Waterways Initiative, where we're going to have the one contractor that has PM, CM, and design responsibilities. However, those responsibilities are not going to all fall under that contract. Whereas you're going to have the program and construction management in there, we fully intend to have 15% of all of the design work bid out. Those will be bid out by the city under separate contracts. And those will be selected once we get a firm on board to start to look in more detail at what these projects are going to look like, how they interconnect, and how we can maintain operations at the plant while those are ongoing. Those projects, as well as the RFP that we're looking to send out, are going to have MBE participation requirement of 10%. That's our goal. We have construction services that's going to be 15%. Under each one of those individual construction contracts. And again, every single construction contract is going to be bid out, separately by the city. None of that is intended to be under the initial professional services RFP. So we also have anticipated projects we think will be very good for alternative delivery, whether that's CMAR or whether that's design build, progressive design build. We're going to identify those when we finally have a consultant on board to do this programming of our projects and the entire program. So those will not be projects that can be done by the prime consultant doing the program management and the large bulk of the design work. Something else we're talking about is subcontractors. So, I imagine there are many, companies who are going to be looking at putting together teams. When teams come in and they have a core team, we are most likely not going to want our core team members to bid on those 15% projects that are going to be bid out separately from the main contract for design. We're going to want those to be separate entities that, we're able to ensure that, our other professional partners and local businesses are able to, have the opportunity to do work on this program. I don't think, that there would be any lack of ability for us to get vendors to be willing to do that extra 15%. So that's the direction that we're headed. As you can see with the schedule, we're working on the RFP right now. Our RFP is kind of in its final stages, working its way through legal. We'd like to see that out in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. We're going to give about a month for proposals. I'm sure we're going to end up somewhere in that process having a proposal meeting where people can ask questions and so forth. Everything will be on our Planet Bids website. Questions should come in there, but I would suspect we would have at least one meeting to answer questions during the bidding process in case vendors have questions. And then we're going to try and get those reviewed by mid to late November once we have responses. And I would say that interviews or negotiations with top candidate, would happen sometime in December. We're really going to try and push to get a contract by the end of January so that we can begin the planning and programming on this entire program. Hopefully kicking off the project in mid-February. Right now, I think I would expect that if we do have a contract and we start a project kicked off with the program management team, that there's probably, 5 months, 6 months where we're going to spend a lot of time, getting more in depth. Even the schedule that we handed out to you guys, it's really a concept at this point, a little more than a concept, but we've got to start getting to a little more detail on those projects. So that schedule will probably alter some. And then once that program design starts coming into being, 5-6 months into it, I would expect that, you'll start to see design work taking place. But I would say you're not going to see any type of construction work come out of the main program until sometime in 26. We do have a few smaller projects that are maybe taking place independently of this program. So there could be some other design work a little bit before this gets in full swing, or some construction work that you might see coming. I know that we're doing a lot of larger capital projects that are more maintenance programs, just to continue to keep the plant operating until we can get some of this work done. I mean, there are things that we aren't going to be able to do under the program for 6 or 7 years that, we need some pretty expensive Band-Aids to keep us going until that point. So with that, I think, we can take questions. Just want to say, Andy and Scott, I mean, Scott's primarily responsible. He's drafting the RFP. He's going to manage this program for us. And Andy's the commissioner for the plant and is extremely familiar with the operations as well. So Patika and I will be more on the administrative end, and those guys are more technical. I also want to introduce one member of my team, Cindy Geronimo. She's the Commissioner for Utilities Administration. I know most of you aren't here for it, but we have been working on a metering project and a billing system upgrade and a customer portal for our water customers. And we're about a month away from rolling out our new customer portal, where people can have a lot of opportunities to go back, look at old bills, track their water, set up alerts, leak detection. There's a lot of things that we're really excited about, different ways you can pay your bill. So I just wanted to point that out to this group and wanted to give Cindy a little shout out for all the work she's been putting in on that. So with that, we'd be happy to take any questions that you guys have.
Thank you for that information. Just a quick question about the MBE participation. When you have those goals of 10 or 15%, depending on the type of work, is that across the entire project, or is that per contract?
So that will be per contract and across the project.
Okay, great. And then when you're looking at determining the MBE participation for those contracts, are you just looking at first and second tier, or are you looking at lower tiers as well?
I think we would be looking at lower tiers as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I saw some people looking at their packet when he was talking about schedule. Make sure that you have the longer piece of paper schedule. They're passing them out at the front door. That's the more detailed, hot off the press. Doug was up until the wee hours of the night making sure that we had this, so make sure that you get a copy.
Thanks for that. Brad Murray with Delve Underground, Regional Manager. I noticed that looking at the detailed schedule, there's a procurement activity ahead of the design activities on each of the improvements. So as I try to understand what you mean by 85% of the design work, are you saying that the program management will package 85% of the design work, or they will self-perform the design for 85% of the work?
So 85% would actually be in the program management, and the 15% would be all individually bid.
So the program manager will self-perform the design work?
Yes, for 85% of it, yes.
Thank you, guys. Marcus Drummond Carpenter. I just had a question. It says MBE participation. Does that include VBE, or is there a separate kind of entity, or is there nothing for veteran business?
Can I hold on one second? I'd ask Director Whitman if she could answer that question. Could you ask that again, please?
Yes. I was just wondering, it says MBE participation. Does that include veteran business participation as well, or is there a separate kind of goal or anything for that?
So currently right now, that's just for MBE. Okay. However, we are developing our VBE program. That legislation was passed probably only a couple of years ago, but we will have some things forthcoming with that as well. But that is actually something we are developing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Amber Hawkins, your computer needs a Toledo LLC. The different tiers, meaning what?
So if I understand different tiers right, that would be, it would be, if I'm correct, sub of subs. Would that be correct? Here's your sub of sub, yeah. So it's that relationship, yeah.
Thank you for that. And then secondly, I know a specific NAICS codes for the MBE, but I do thank you for mentioning that, although probably a few of my NAICS codes may not fit there, but I am glad that there is a MBE participation component in place. What about as far as the future of including others, including, let's say, WBE, and also maybe disabled owner, small business certifications, and also disabled owner, veteran business certifications?
No, so I appreciate that question. So one of the primary purposes for doing the summit like we are at this time is that we have these major projects coming up, and we wanted to make sure that we at least get the information out there. We are actually developing strategies that will include a small business program that will be able to capture more opportunities for local small MBE, WBE, SBE businesses. So that is forthcoming, and you will see and I know Director Stevens even said at the Water Reclamation Plant tour that, we're planning to spread the wealth. So this is something we're being very intentional about. And we do recognize that we have larger businesses here, but we also have smaller businesses that we also want to make sure they get an opportunity to participate. So thank you for the question.
So, Amber, we were hoping that you were going to ask the same question you asked in the first session. Okay, but we'll go ahead and answer it. Your question was about the different types of work that will be needed for the projects. Mm-hmm. We got you. We'll answer it for you.
Oh, yeah. So again, a lot of these are going to be contractor, more contractor level. They'll be subject to prevailing wage and PLA depending on the level of the contract, but there's trucking, pipe fitters, water main, stormwater work, hauling, paving, contract work. There'll be some landscaping, tree planting. There'll be a lot of electrical work, signals, structural work, electromechanical, masonry. And I also envision, I don't know if you noticed one slide, we talked about there's going to be a trailer park. And I've already talked to a couple of the general contractors that are out here, and there could be some opportunities when that trailer park is there, and this from my experience at the water plant, we had, I think at our peak, we had like 8 trailers that had contractors in them and office space and computers. So there could be some more like business type, where if you are a business into business supply, there could be an opportunity to contract with those outside of a city contract actually, and just work directly with those contractors or with the engineering firm that's a program manager. They could need other support services like custodial services. And we also, there will be some property that we'll have to take over, and there could be the opportunity for landscaping. I don't know if the contracts want to, how we would go about mowing that and maintaining it so it stays looking good. So yeah, just outside some of the prevailing wage stuff, there might be some smaller commercial type opportunities for business services for that trailer park.
And I thank you for answering that, and also the opportunity for me to also mention and expand on actually another quick question. Any of the primes or any of those that win and they have teams, as you mentioned earlier, will there be a say to them that, okay, you gained this contract, what is your MBE or WBE or DBE or whatever goal, and are you meeting that to help complete the task of this?
Yeah, there's MBE goals for the professional side services and for the construction.
Yeah, and with that, so when a bidder submits, whether it's a professional services proposal or whether it's a construction bid, we do require them to identify before we award the contract, who their MBEs or WBEs are. And typically, we get a document in that package that's signed by that MBE firm as well as the prime. And, so we've confirmed the dollar values of those contracts and so forth in our program. So yeah, we do absolutely track that and follow up.
Okay, and then finally, also, I know it's mainly for businesses and others that have specific NAICS codes, again, as I mentioned before, but I'm also asking because there are probably those of us who may have what's called unique businesses, maybe that involve drones, maybe that involve robotics or AI, or mainly do their business virtually or remotely instead of on-site or only do it on-site periodically. So that was another part of it as well.
I mean, if there is a service that can be performed on these projects, there's not going to be a requirement that anyone would need to necessarily come work, out of the trailer park or anything like that. So, I mean, if there are services that are served remotely or off-site, of course, that is also something that can be incorporated into these contracts by the entity that contracts with the City of Toledo, or if it happens to be some contract that the city puts out separately that can be done remotely, those are definitely allowable.
Thank you again.
Yes. Akosia Barthwell Evans again from the Barthwell Group. And building on the question that I asked previously, will there be an opportunity for professional services beyond those relating to engineering type and design? For example, looking at reaction or outreach to the community to make sure that people are aware of what's going on and understand any kind of risks to them.
Yes, there in the water treatment plant capital improvement projects, we have had websites developed that share information and make sure that people are kept up to date on progress and they're able to see, find out different things about the project. So for the for this facilities plan and implementation, we would maintain a website that has updates. And for certain projects, there's going to have to be some public outreach. But yeah, they're within the professional services, there is definitely opportunity for some outreach like that. Oh, and yeah, another good example would have been from the Toledo Waterways Initiative, that we kept public informed on progress and what was being accomplished.
Okay, we are all set. So I want to thank our panel who, if you can, I'm pleased if you could stay around because I'm sure people have some individual questions and maybe want to go into some details. Let's just give this team a round of applause. They have been great with working and helping put this summit on. So I really appreciate their support. And so at this time, again, we want to thank everyone for coming. But again, please take a picture of our QR code. Tell us what you would like to see more next year, what additional questions that you have. We will make sure that people who registered will be getting the updates as the panel explained as these projects progress. But again, thank you for joining us. Our vendors are still here. So again, encouraging everyone, they're out there, but also downstairs. Please visit the library's new business and nonprofit. Linda is here, and so she is phenomenal, but please visit the space. We have additional vendors, but again, thank you for coming. If you have additional questions, please go ahead.
Are they still downstairs with the Planet Bids?
Yes, they are still Planet Bids. Yes, please, Planet Bids. Make sure yes.
Yes.
So right off to your right in the corner as you walk out the door.
Because we want everyone to understand how to use Planet Bids, and please don't wait till last minute to upload, because it's just like when I was in college, everybody waited till last minute to try to print, try to get their paper in, and the system crashed. So please, early, the
Yes.
night before, early morning, if you have a problem, the lovely lady up there, Natalie, you can
Yes.
call her, let her know, but please
Yes.
don't wait until
Yes.
was it 1:30?
Yes.
Yes,
And I don't think
1:30.
Natalie was in. Natalie, you please stand. She is the person at Brunel. Your contact, any questions you have, she helps people through that process of preparing for bids. So I don't think you were in the room when I called your name. Her and Rory Earl Rory Earl are out in the, right there, just right outside the door, just to answer any questions you have. But is there anything else? I think we're all set. So again, thank you for coming. Please feel free to visit the vendors out there and get additional questions from our panel.